Hi guys, hope you all are doing well. So today we're going to be talking about inverse trig ratios on page 5, but before we do that, I actually want to backtrack and just make sure that we're all set with traditional trig ratios. So using the ratios to find missing sides. And I wanted to clarify that our ratios, sine, cosine, and tangent, these things right here, all they are is a ratio of sides. That's it. Okay? So conceptually, sine is just the ratio of your opposite to your hypotenuse. Opposite to hypotenuse. Cosine is the ratio of your adjacent to your hypotenuse. And tangent is the ratio of opposite to adjacent of right triangles. It is just the fraction. Tangent of an angle equals the length of its opposite side to its adjacent side. Sine of an angle equals its opposite side to its hypotenuse. Cosine is its adjacent to its hypotenuse. That's really it. So I just wanted to make sure conceptually we kind of understand what sine, cosine, and tangent actually mean. And let's just do another one of these together as a review. Let's go to page 2 and do question 4. Yeah, 4 is a good one. All right. So again, the first thing you're doing is you are highlighting your angle of interest and then identifying what sides are relevant and what the relation is to that angle. All right. So x is across from it, meaning it's its opposite leg. And 8 is adjacent to it. All right. The unnamed one at the top, that's your hypotenuse. It's not relevant to us right now. We're only talking about our opposite side and our adjacent side. So then when we look to our ratios up here, right, the only ratio that deals with opposite and adjacent is tangent. So it's going to be tangent of 55, because remember, it's always going to be tangent of the angle or sine of the angle or cosine of the angle, right? Never of a side. It's the ratio of the angle equals two sides in relation to each other, right? A fraction of two sides. So tangent of 55 equals SOHCAHTOA, opposite over adjacent. Opposite is x, adjacent is 8. It's really important that you do x over 8 here, not 8 over x, because x is the opposite, 8 is the adjacent. And then you just cross multiply. X equals 8 times tangent of 55. And I'm also uploading a quick little calculator tutorial for you. So make sure you're watching that if you are having any issues with using your calculator, you know, to kind of fix that. And x equals 11.4. We really need to make sure we're checking for reasonableness here. All right, we don't have our hypotenuse, so we're not measuring kind of our things smaller than our hypotenuse, but okay, if one of our legs is 8, it makes sense. The other one's 11.4. That's not a ridiculous answer. All right, so now we're going to move on to page 5 and talk about inverse ratios. So inverse ratios are used to find the measure of the angle. We don't know the angle, but we know the sides. So let's take a look at question 1. Right? You're going to do the same thing. You're going to highlight the angle that's relevant to us. It's obviously the one that says x. That's the one we're looking for. All right? And then we're going to identify the relevant sides and what they are in relation to that angle. So far, it's the same. All right? 15 is going to be opposite of it. 24 is going to be the hypotenuse. Make sure you're not saying it's adjacent just because it touches it, right? This guy right here would be the adjacent angle. It's not relevant to us, so I'm not going to write it, right? But 24 is the hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. So then we have our SOHCAHTOA. Write that on every page if it helps you. Here we have O and H. That means we're talking about sine. And as I said earlier, we always say the ratio of the angle. All right, so it's going to be sine of x because the angle is x. We don't know the measurement of the angle. That's what makes this question different than the previous ones. Sine of x equals opposite over hypotenuse. So 15 over 24. In order to find x, we need to use the inverse function. All right, so it's going to look like this. X equals inverse sine. That exponent of negative 1 means inverse of 15 over 24. So make sure you're checking out the calculator tutorial, but all you're going to do is go to your calculator and right above the button that says sine, there should be a little button that says sine to the power of negative 1. And to get there, you're going to press shift or second, like whatever your shift button is on your calculator, and then press sine. So you should now have sine of negative 1 in your calculator. And then in parentheses, do 15 over 24 and hit enter. And you're going to get 38.682, etc. So we're going to round 38.7. And that is now an angle. It's not a side, right? It's an angle. It's right here. So again, before you're finished, you're checking for reasonableness. Does that make sense? It does, right? We have to make sure that that number is less than 90. There is no way that number is going to be 90 or a number greater than 90 because we're talking about a triangle, right? And the three angles in a triangle equal 180 degrees. These trig ratios only work for right triangles. We know one of the degrees is 90, not one of the ones we're talking about, right? Not x. So x has to be a number less than 90. These two angles, these two blue ones, have to add up to 90, right? So just think about that when you're getting x. Like it has to be something that you add to something else and get 90. And 38.7 does work. Let's try a couple more here. All right, so for number 2, same process. You're going to highlight your angle. You're going to identify sides and the relationship to the angle. So 8 is adjacent. 11 is the hypotenuse. The unknown one over there, the one that's not relevant to us, that's the opposite, but we don't need to know that. So we look at our ratios. The one that deals with adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. All right, so cosine of x, remember it's always the ratio of the angle, cosine of x equals, so ca, meaning adjacent over hypotenuse, 8 over 11. So same thing, you're going to go to the secondary function on your calculator, so press shift or second or whatever it is in your calculator, cosine, and then you should get that cosine negative 1, the inverse, and then 8 over 11, and you're going to get 43.341, etc. We're going to round to 43.3, and again, is that reasonable? It absolutely is. One more. This is our angle. The 20 is opposite. The 37 is adjacent. Our hypotenuse is not relevant to us right now. That is tangent. Right, so tangent of x, and I'm going to say it one more time, it's always the ratio of the angle. So if your angle is known, then it's going to be tangent of a number, right? But if it's unknown, if you're looking for it, it's going to be tangent of x. So TOA, opposite over adjacent, 20 over 37. It's really important that you do those in the correct order, otherwise your entire problem is going to be wrong. All right, so x equals the inverse tangent of 20 over 37. I'm going to do this with you guys. Inverse tangent 20 over 37. And you're going to get 28.39, etc. So 28.4. Checking for reasonableness. That is reasonable. We're good. Okay, so I want you to rewatch this if you need. Call me if you need. Definitely take a look at the calculator tutorial if you're having trouble actually doing this on your calculator. And let me know how you're doing. Make sure that you are also spending 20 minutes on the iExcel that is posted. And tomorrow we will be doing some review just to make sure that everyone is good. All right. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please ask questions if you have them, and I will talk to you soon.